Cannibal is the signature attraction at Lagoon Amusement Park in Utah. Despite being almost entirely built and designed in-house, this ride is a powerhouse. It has the height of a hypercoaster, and its gigantic beyond vertical drop broke multiple records upon opening. So I have a question. Why don't more parks hire Lagoon to build rides for them? That is how good Cannibal is, and I'll explain why in this review. Unlike many parks that rely on outside companies to design their coasters, Lagoon does things very differently. Lagoon's Vice President of Engineering is Dal Freeman, who previously was the Director of Engineering for Aerodynamics from 1986 through the 1990s. Freeman had coaster design experience, having previously worked on rides like Cedar Point's Magnum XL 200, so he has designed Lagoon's latest coasters. His first project for Lagoon was Wicked, the vertical launch coaster in 2007. Freeman and Lagoon designed the ride themselves, but they partnered with Zier to fabricate the coaster. After Wicked was delayed due to 90% of the support columns having defective weldments, Lagoon decided to handle the manufacturing and fabrication of their next coasters as well. So in 2011, the park designed, sourced, and built Bombora themselves. This family coaster has a lot of neat features such as onboard audio, while also providing a glass smooth ride. It was clear Lagoon knew what they were doing. And in 2015 they attempted a much more daring project in Cannibal. This coaster would be daring for any company, let alone an in-house job. Let's look at all the records this ride would break. It would be the tallest and fastest coaster in Utah. The ride would be a hypercoaster, standing 208 feet or 63 meters tall, while also reaching speeds of 70 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour. It would also have the steepest drop in America upon opening at 116 degrees. And this would also be the world's tallest beyond vertical drop. Freeman and Lagoon again designed the ride themselves. The track and supports were fabricated by the nearby Intermountain Lift. Lagoon assembled the ride themselves. Now if you look at RCDB, you'll see that Art Engineering is credited with the ride. They helped with the design and provided the trains, but Lagoon did a majority of the work themselves. The ride was intended to be ready for opening day 2015. However, Cannibal was delayed a few months. But outside of that, the entire process seems to have gone swimmingly for Lagoon. Cannibal has been an extremely reliable and highly popular attraction ever since opening. And the park is once again in the process of building another coaster in-house with Primordial. But back to Cannibal. This ride dominates Lagoon's skyline. You can see that giant brown tower from miles away. And the layout looks downright insane. That record-breaking drop is one of the most visually stunning elements of any coaster. It just looks wrong to see beyond vertical drop of that scale. Then you also have a tangled mess of inversions. For as large of a ride Cannibal is, it features a surprisingly compact layout. Plus, this ride in general looks sleek. The bright red track really pops, especially when viewed from the parking lot and you have the mountains in the distance. Then the ride also has some nice theming around the attraction. It is rare to see a ride of this scale themed so well. The first drop plunges into a stone temple and there are animal statues around it. The final helix wraps around a giant rock structure with a massive 50-foot waterfall, although this feature isn't too visible from publicly accessible areas. The giant tower and station building feature pillars. Then the load platform itself features some tribal theming, including statues and a giant mural on the wall with some fiery skulls. It definitely looks intimidating. And whenever a train dispatches, a horn blares. Then the entrance features a giant sign and 2 lion statues, which, fun fact, previously sat on the steps of the Utah State Capitol building. Lagoon acquired them at an auction a few years ago. Now on most days, this ride's line will start well beyond that entrance. If you are unfamiliar with Lagoon, you should know that the physical queues for their coasters can only hold about 10 to 15 minutes worth of people. This is a deliberate move by the park because they think the midways are livelier when the lines spill into them. So if you visit on a busy day, Cannibal's line may stretch way back. This is the park's most popular ride by far. In my most recent visit, Cannibal's line went back to the Catapult Slingshot ride at one point. Thankfully, Cannibal, like many of Lagoon's coasters, has incredibly fast operations, so even a line that looks as daunting as this will just keep on moving. This line ended up taking 45 to 60 minutes, which isn't bad for a signature ride on one of the park's busiest operating days. I imagine you'll have to wait a lot less if you aren't visiting on a Halloween weekend like I did. Before entering the physical queue line, you need to put any bags and loose articles in a locker. Nothing can be stored in the ride platform. Fortunately, these lockers are 100% free, which shows that Lagoon is doing it in the name of fast operations. Cannibal features a single rider line. You used to be able to access this line immediately, which made it more appealing. Now, you cannot get into the single rider line until you've waited through the portion of the queue line extending onto the midway. By the time you reach the point where you can branch off for the single rider line, you only have another 5 minutes in the standby queue, so it doesn't really make sense for a group to split up at that point. As a result, I saw very few people using it. At the end of the queue line, there is an employee who assigns your row. Most employees will not take row requests. I don't think the row matters too much in this ride, so it's not a big issue for me. Cannibal features a dual load platform. It has been in use in both my visits to the park, but it sounds like they sometimes will only use one. Trains are both loaded and dispatched in pairs. This, combined with the fast restraint checks, led to multiple trains regularly cycling the course at once. And this is a good thing because the trains themselves are rather small. Cannibal's trains accommodate a max of 12 people in 3 rows of 4. You have a flat lap bar that rests on your thighs, and I find this part pretty comfortable. Then there are shin guards, but unlike the ones on Wicked, you have a lot more clearance so you barely notice their presence. And a neat feature about these trains is that they feature headlights on the front. And unlike some parks, they work reliably day to day and train to train. It really enhances the ride's presence at night. I don't think this ride has any major spoilers, but if you want to skip ahead to the outdoor portion, please click to the time shown on the screen now. Once dispatched, you roll into a dark room. There are some additional artifacts and statues on the wall. The music intensifies, and then you enter a temple. This houses the ride's elevator lift, and it looks downright massive if you look straight up. And to be honest, it's pretty disorienting because of the scale of it. The elevator is a dual lift system that uses the opposite side as a counterweight, so as one train raises, the other side is lowered to grab another train. Once at the top, you roll forwards and pause for a few seconds to take in the view. This is much appreciated because the enclosed lift blocks off the view in the ascent. After a brief delay, you move forwards onto the ride's iconic plunge. And this truly is one of the world's best drops. For one, it is so steep that you cannot even see the track as you crest it. It's a terrifying visual, especially up front. Now the start of the drop is trimmed, but you'll still get a boatload of airtime, so that doesn't bother me one bit. You get a good burst of ejector airtime at the start. Then that airtime morphs into sustained floater for the rest of the descent. And the drop seemingly lasts forever, so you're out of your seat for a few seconds. It's downright magical. Then the pullout rockets through a temple, and you get some strong positive Gs here. I was starting to gray out on all my rides. Those Gs continue as you shoot upwards into a giant Immelman. Then at the apex, you get some lift. Then you get some decent laterals as you uncork towards the ground. Immelmans typically aren't one of my favorite elements, but I really like the one on Cannibal because of its wide range of forces. The next element is the most underrated on the ride, the dive loop. This element really shocked me. You get a great ejector pop going into it. That really surprised me because how early the twist occurred. Then the descent rapidly twists you 180 degrees, causing some nice whip. And the X of the dive loop sort of forms a double down. Rather than going all the way back down to the ground, you stop halfway and then charge over this small dip. You get a good burst of ejector airtime here, and you cannot see it coming. It reminds me of the step down in Knott's Berry Farm's hang time before the Cobra Roll. Cannibal does have a set of trims right after this dip that do noticeably slow you down. Then you navigate an element that has caused some debate in the coaster community. Some have called it an overbank, while some say it banks so severely to be a cutback inversion. To me, it feels more like an overbank, and to be honest, it's probably the weakest element on the ride regardless. It just doesn't have much force to it. You then twist upwards and around the tower to hit the mid-course brakes, and you slow way down here. Usually this is a negative, but it actually helps for the next element, which is the one-of-a-kind Lagoon roll. It is comprised of back-to-back barrel rolls, but the direction you invert changes midway through it. You rotate counterclockwise for the first one, and clockwise for the second. These two rolls have incredible sustained hang time, especially because you have just a lap bar. You don't really return to your seat in between rolls. You will feel all your weight pressed against your restraint. And I like how the second one goes over the rockwork, which has a pond at the top, and that creates a pretty cool head chopper while you're inverted. Cannibal then twists downwards and enters a final helix. You regain your speed fast, and this element wraps around that giant rock statue. You actually burrow through it at one point, and they are misted by the adjacent waterfall. This helix is not only visually cool, but it also has some nice force to it. You then hop into a temple, getting a brief but okay pop of airtime. And then you hit the brakes. You then head back to the station, ending this 2,735 foot, or 834 meter long beast of a coaster. Clearly, I'm impressed by the elements, but what about the smoothness? Cannibal is one of the smoothest coasters out there. There isn't even a hint of a rattle here. Parks should genuinely hire Lagoon to design and build their rides. That's how great of a job they did with this coaster. So what would I rate Cannibal? I would give this ambitious coaster a 9 out of 10. This is a fantastic ride. The first drop is as amazing as it looks. It's chock full of airtime that seemingly never ends. Then the ride packs in 4 fun inversions that all lift you out of your seat, with the airtime into the dive loop and the crazy hang time on the barrel roll standing out. Then the ride also mixes in some spots with positive forces for variety, and the entire coaster is plussed by some theming both on board and in the general area. I cannot quite give this coaster a perfect score, because the middle does have a slight lull with that overbank and mid-course, but the ride is otherwise near perfect. It is worth going to Lagoon exclusively for this coaster. So those are my thoughts on Cannibal at Lagoon. What are your thoughts on the super unique coaster? Do you think it alone is worth a trip to Lagoon? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Cannibal Coaster. Thanks for watching.